Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Hella Schwartz-Grossman, Marketing Manager at Worldox, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the webinar today. It's another session in our legal technology webinar series, which we started last year as a means to introduce some of our partners and provide them with an opportunity to share details about the applications and technology with you. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. The webinar will be recorded and the link will be emailed to you afterwards. Everyone is muted right now, but if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the questions pane, and then we'll address the questions at the end of the webinar. Today we're joined by Zola Suite, and I'm excited to introduce our speakers, Liz Trincone, Client Success Advisor at Zola Suite, and Raphael Lopez, VP of Product. Liz is a Client Success Advisor at Zola Suite, and she helps firms leverage technology to optimize workflows and maximize productivity. Prior to joining Zola, she was a paralegal and a trainer for a litigation software company. Raphael is the VP of Product at Zola Suite, and he works alongside Zola's brilliant developers and is responsible for the performance and evaluation of the platform. He has been part of the Zola team since 2016. We're ready to start now, so thank you in advance for the attention you'll be giving this webinar. And Liz, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Hella. Hi, everyone. As Hella mentioned, my name is Liz, and I'm very excited to be showing you Zola Suite today. We will have a one-question poll going up in just a minute or so. So if you could all answer that for us, we just want to get a little bit more information about you and give you, of course, some information about what we do. So Zola Suite is an end-to-end practice management platform, and we work with law firms. We work with some other firms as well, sometimes CPA or accounting firms, and provide full accounting for business and legal accounting for firms. So I am really happy to be showing you what we do today. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of how you would handle the life cycle of a client within Zola and show you some of the more interesting features of the accounting part of the program as well. So at Zola, you can see all of the different things that kind of go into what makes Zola work day to day for everybody. And we also are a Cloud 2.0 program. So you would access Zola through your browser, your internet browser. And we're very big on putting in as many features as we can that are native to the program with, of course, some hand-selected integrations that we really like. So with that, let's get started. So this is the screen that you'll see when you first log into Zola Suite. You have some really conveniently placed widgets here so you can access your inbox, your calendar, and your tasks. One of the biggest features of Zola that we're really proud of is our native email integration. So you can take your email account and sync it to Zola so that you can access your entire inbox right within the platform. You can also sync your calendar over, which is going to create a bi-directional sync between your email account and Zola Suite so that everything is up to date and in one place for you. In addition, there is a great CRM. So in case you are not familiar with that, that is customer relationship management. This would be the place that you are able to kind of set up prospective clients. Another really cool feature is that you can link this to your website. So if you have a website and you have some foot traffic coming through there and people who are interested in your services, if you link this to the website, and we have help articles that outline exactly how to do that, depending on the type of website you have, you're able to collect information from those leads right in the CRM. It funnels it right through. It'll even alert you when you have a new lead in the system so that you can keep all of your prospective clients in one place, keep track of them, and reach out and contact them. As you'll see at the top of the page here, there are some really helpful metrics. They are interactive, so if you hover over them, you'll get a little bit more information about each part. And you'll see the breakdown of who's interested in your services. Are they coming from predominantly one type of practice area? Is it a mix? Where are the leads coming from? You can keep detailed track of your sources. So where your leads are primarily coming from for the firm. You can see your conversion rate of leads to matters. It's very easy to take a lead, and if they end up retaining you, convert them right to a matter and retain all of the information that you saved. So documents, emails, things of that nature. You can enter what you think the value of this might be, should it become a matter. And I'm going to open up one of my leads here so that you can see. If you have a WordPress website, you're able to link it to the CRM using a Gravity Forms plugin. So again, we do have help articles relating to WordPress and non-WordPress, how you would go about that, but it's a pretty simple process for WordPress to link it and get it working with your website. When you do link it to a WordPress site, you're able to see information about how long the prospective client was on your website, which parts of your website they may have visited. So if they came directly to the website through the URL and were looking around at different parts, you can actually get an idea of what they were doing and where they were looking for your marketing and metric purposes. You'll also see any comments that they may have submitted in terms of why they might have been reaching out to you. And you'll be able to keep track of all of your events, tasks, communications that you may have had with this prospect. You'll be able to send out really detailed intake forms that you can create as well. So you'll be able to view those when you send them out to a client. They'll fill them out online and submit them back to you, and you can see what their responses are here. Another really cool thing that this will do is this will populate merge fields that you can use for document automation should you choose to. You'll be able to use custom fields that you build yourself. Zola is very, very versatile for a lot of different types of firms in the sense that you can kind of build your matters around the information you need to see most. So these custom fields are a great way of doing just that and collecting what you need to see for a given type of matter. And you can start collecting that information at this point in the intake process. And once you convert it to a matter, which I have actually already done with this one, you'll be able to see all of that information. If you saved emails that have come in from this prospect, those will be in the communications section here. You'll see any additional contacts that you might have linked to this matter. You'll see your custom fields. You have a great overview of the financial information for this matter right at the top of your screen. I do want to segue into email for just a moment to show you how that's going to work. If you do want to continue using Outlook, if you're an Office 365 client, there is a plugin that's compatible with Windows computers that you can use. A lot of people do like to work directly in Zola though. So while you have that option, you can do all of the same things with email in Zola that you would normally do in G Suite or Outlook. So any of the folders that you had in your native email account will sync over. You'll see all of your main folders at the top. There are a lot of really great visual cues on the emails to kind of let you know what's going on. So you'll see a purple briefcase next to any email that you've saved to a matter. So you'll know that that's already been taken care of. It's saved. That copy that gets saved is placed in the matter. So if you then wanted to reorganize your inbox, move certain things out, delete certain things, you can rest assured that that copy will be saved. You can save attachments from emails directly to a matter. If that matter has folders set up for documents, you can tell it exactly where you want it to go. You can even click on an email and convert it directly to a task or an event, which is going to be really helpful for multitasking throughout the day. Additionally, you have built-in timers. So if you take a new email that's come in and you'd now like to associate it to a matter, you have the option to have a time entry prompt pull up for you so that you can say, okay, I'd like to bill for this. And if you do that, you'll notice over here, there's a green briefcase. So you'll even be able to keep track of which of your emails you've saved to the matter and which ones you've saved and billed for. So you'll be presented with a really user-friendly time entry sheet that you can put your time in for. And when you reply or compose a new email, you'll have a running clock or a timer right at the top right corner that is going to directly keep track of how much time you've spent writing this email. So that'll start right here. So now jumping back over to my matter, you can see how everything is organized by tabs, and you have your matter fields and custom fields right at the top. You'll be able to keep track of any time entries, expenses, or flat fees that you need to record on this matter, and you'll be able to see the status of each. You can invoice from this page. You can invoice matter by matter or for the whole firm and any matters that have outstanding billable activity, whichever way you prefer to do that. And there's an invoice unbilled activities button right here. That is one of those ways that you can segue right into creating your bills. Any bills that have been created, you'll also see on the matter, and you'll be able to get a quick glance of whether or not they've been paid. And we'll talk about payment in just a few minutes because that's one of the really cool features of Zola is how you can collect payment and send your bills out in a record amount of time. You do still have intake forms here as well. And you have a great activity log on each matter that lets you know everything that was done, what date and time it was done, and who it was done by. Firm administrators will even have a master activity log that shows them all of this information, but firm-wide. So now if we jump into the invoicing process, I'm just going to use this matter as my example. You have so many controls and filters to make sure that you're billing exactly what and who you want to bill at any given time. You can assign billing groups to your matters so that if you're billing by a certain frequency, if you're billing based on the type of matter that you're working on, you can group all of those matters together and only bill who you want to at any given time. You have a bunch of other filters to work with too, like the responsible attorney. You can go by client or matter. You can go by work types or matter status. And you'll be able to see a preview of everything that is prepared to be placed on an invoice that you can decide what you'd like to push through. So once I say I'm ready to generate my invoice, it's showing me the due date of the invoice, which I have pre-selected in my firm settings. And it will actually generate for me as a draft just based on how I have my settings configured. So you can work with pre-bills and you can print them all out in bulk. You can give them to somebody if they want to redline them. You can also email them as a group of attachments to an attorney that might want to just review them electronically. And then once they are approved and ready to go, you would mark them as approved, and now your draft will be considered AR, and you'll be ready to start collecting payments and, of course, sending your invoices out. One of the coolest features, in my opinion, is our bulk billing center. This is a way that you're able to send out thousands of invoices at a time if you need to or want to. And you'll be able to include a custom email that goes out with each invoice. You're even able to include merge fields that will pull the name of the recipient of the invoice so that it's a little bit more personalized. And you can bring in this payment link merge field, which will give each client a unique link to their invoice through LawPay so that they are able to make payments to those invoices. And then that payment information will not only hit your account, but it will also sync back over to Zola to mark that invoice as paid so that you really don't have to do anything other than send the bill out. And then that payment information will come right back for you.
One thing I would like to add to that in the bulk billing center, the sending email address, that's going to be custom to your domain. So it's not like we've seen with some other vendors where it's coming from a third-party email account. As part of the implementation stage, we can make sure that it comes from the email address of your choosing. That way, any sort of replies, you can even BCC another email address so you have your own personal archives.
Exactly. As I mentioned, Zola can be used for business accounting as well. So if you are taking care of bills that are related to office expenses, maybe you have a rent check that you have to send out, or you're paying your phone and internet, you have the ability to use the vendors and bills section to create vendors, and you can create bills within Zola and pay them to those vendors. You can even print out a check from Zola if you pay by check and send it out to the vendor. And in our report section, you'll be able to print 1099s for any of your vendors, which is a really, really great feature to have. So you would be able to put in all the information about the bill. You can assign it to an account on your general ledger. You can even associate it to a matter if needed. You don't have to. So if it's something that maybe you advanced costs for a client, you might want to pass that expense along. But if it's something that's not matter related, it handles it just as well. You can even attach bills or receipts that you might have received to your vendor bill. And paying them is just as easy. You select Pay Vendor Bill. You'll be able to choose your vendor and see any outstanding invoices or bills that you may have. And then you just put in your payment information. And when you say Pay and Print, that's where you'll be able to print out your check. You can set up your bank accounts within Zola. So you'll be able to set up your operating and trust accounts. You can add other non-trust related accounts that you might have, like savings accounts or cost accounts. You can even link credit card accounts for the firm so that you can keep track of any expenses that might be charged to a credit card. And there is a way that you can link your bank account to your online banking, depending on the bank or institution, and you'll be able to track the activity on that account through this download and review feed. It's similar to a feature that you may have seen, any of you who have used QuickBooks before, where you can assign or match transactions. So that's something that you'll be able to do for reconciliation purposes. Additionally, you can generate batch deposits. So if you have a batch deposit on your bank statement and you'd like to match that up in Zola, you're able to do that as well by temporarily assigning checks to an undeposited funds account. That is another type of account that you can have listed in here. And when you're ready to merge them into one batch deposit, you have the ability to do so. And you'll be able to choose any of the checks that you have in that account to pull into that batch deposit. And I would be remiss if I did not talk about some of the reports that Zola has. The reports are fabulous, and there are many of them organized by type of report. And you can favorite your reports so that you can access them anywhere at any time, right at the top of your page where you see this star icon at the top. So you can just pull those up really quickly if you need to reference them. And they are color-coded. They're very nicely organized. You'll be able to see things like your general ledger. You can add to your chart of accounts or modify what might already be there. There is a really great account reconciliation tool that you can use to go through and make sure that everything matches up. And as I mentioned before, you can also print your 1099s from here. You can track client payments. You can also track trust information or work in progress that a matter might have. And as in most areas of Zola, I should mention that not only do you have a lot of filters that you can use to narrow down what you're looking for, but you'll also have the option to export your data to a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet in most cases. So if you need to report back to somebody, or you just want to take that information and look at it outside of Zola, you will have the option to do so. So with that, I'd like to pass things over to my colleague, Raphael, so he can talk to you a little bit more about how Zola and Worldox are going to interface with each other.
Thank you for that demonstration, Liz. Well, as you pass over the controls, wanted to take the remainder of today's call to review our integration that we recently launched with Worldox. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And Liz, on your end, you can see my screen? Just want to double check. Excellent. So I'm logged into an account that's already integrated with Worldox. You may notice right off the bat that the user interface has changed a little bit. In this account, you do not see the email client on the dashboard or on the left-hand side. As part of the implementation state of Zola Suite, while we're configuring your account to your needs and your firm's needs, we have the ability to shut off the email module, assuming since you are using Worldox for document management, you will also want to have all pieces of emails filed under Worldox. So that's something that we can remove along with our native DMS, just so there's no confusion for end users on what they should be using for email management as well as document management. The integration is going to begin in a user's My Settings. There is a location where users can integrate with DMS providers, and naturally Worldox is available there. Upon integrating, you will need to supply your Worldox URL, your username, and your password. I do want to stress that the integration was built using Worldox Web, so that is going to be a requirement for integrating. For those that are interested in moving over to Zola Suite, that's something that they will need to have enabled. And of course, if you are looking to start your journey with Worldox and Zola Suite, the same thing will be applied there. So Worldox Web is going to be a requirement. Once integrated, on the left navigation menu, you'll notice there's going to be a dedicated option for Worldox. This is going to load up the logged in user's personal dashboard. So we've brought all those components of Worldox right into Zola Suite. There are a few integration points which I'm going to go through. Naturally, when creating new matters in Zola Suite, you'll now have the opportunity to create a matter in Worldox, and if this is a new client, we'll also be pushing over that client information as well. So once again, in one click, you'll be creating the matter in Zola Suite. You'll also be creating the matter in Worldox, and the two will be integrated on that same matter dashboard that Liz had showcased before. Few things I want to just point out while we have the new matter form opened. Anything that you see that has this purple column to the left of the field, that just lets you know that that's going to be a required field. And this is throughout Zola Suite. So here we'll need to fill out a matter name, practice area, client, of course, responsible attorney. On the right, we have a few additional fields that will need to be supplied. And you'll notice on the bottom, we have the option to map that to Worldox. First, we'll need to select a cabinet. Because the integration is user-based, the logged in user will have a list of cabinets which they have access to. So we do not limit you to only one and only one cabinet. You have the liberty to choose which cabinet you would like to work in. Upon creation, and to do so at the very bottom, there's the create option. It's going to redirect you to the matter details page that Liz had presented earlier. So this is your home base for everything regarding this matter: financials, timekeeping, contacts, events. And with the integration, you'll have the linked matter available right in here. So here we're in the Mariano Ortiz matter. Here we have, once again, the components of Worldox brought over into Zola Suite. So all the functionality that is delivered as you would have on web, you have at your fingertips within Zola Suite. So in this dedicated section, we can go ahead and view the documents. We can edit the metadata, all that will be available right within the screen over here. For matters that are not currently integrated, you'll have the opportunity to do so there. And I do want to touch a little bit upon moving over to Zola Suite as an existing Worldox client. So as part of our migration services, and we do a full migration of financials and matter and client information, we can also bring over and have the integrated Worldox matters linked for you for a go live. So we really want to make that transition as smooth as possible. So on go live, you'll have all of your information on this dashboard and have the integrated matter available at your fingertips. So for phase one of this integration, which we have existing clients already utilizing and they are loving it, we are considering our V2 version. We're looking to integrate our dedicated email client alongside with Worldox's indexing technology with messages. So what we're looking for V2 is to have that timekeeping component of when sending emails, have that process, but also the underlying message be filed into the integrated matter. So we feel at that point, with that one click, you will be successfully making sure that you've filed the piece of email back to Worldox, you've created your billable entry, and of course, send the email all in one click. We're a little bit of a ways out there, but we're looking to quickly get that up as soon as we can. It's going to make the integration that much sweeter. And additionally, another item I do want to touch base is Zola Suite does have its own document template system. This is going to be great for generating merged documents. So in one click, you can have a large docx or PDF file generated. We are looking into our next update to the integration to allow you to send that document directly to Worldox Web through Zola Suite. The idea behind this integration is we want to bring together both platforms in a very seamless integration, eliminating any need to go back and forth from one platform to the other. So we feel while V1 brings a lot of value to clients, V2 is going to just build upon that. With that, that's pretty much a high level view of the integration. I did want to make sure that we left enough time for those in attendance to ask any questions related to Zola Suite as a whole, anything that Liz may have mentioned. If there's any specific questions regarding the Worldox integration, we want to see if we can address those here now.
So this is Rebecca Satin. As always, I can't help but, ask 1,000 questions myself. But before I even get to that, I thank you first for mentioning that Worldox Web is required. For anyone who has questions about that, it's Worldox Web 3 that is required. That product is free to all on-prem customers to install at your site. But if you don't want to set up a web server on your site, we have a hosted version of Worldox Web 3 that you can also, that one, there is a cost involved. It's $10 a user a month, but you don't have to buy it for all users. So if not all of your users are going to be using this integration, you don't have to have it for everyone. So I just wanted to clarify that. I think we've got, in watching this, the one thing that occurs to me, it's sounding like from what you're saying that you don't need to have QuickBooks if you have this. Is that correct?
That's correct. We do offer a QuickBooks integration with Zola Suite. I'd like to think there's a very, very small client base that's using that. Typically for those firms, they are not interested in moving over to QuickBooks, although the overwhelming of migrations we do where a firm is on QuickBooks, we're bringing them over into Zola Suite. So full client and firm accounting can be managed and accomplished within Zola Suite. A very, very overwhelming number of our clients are using our accounting. I like to think, upwards of 95% plus. So yes, we can surely replace QuickBooks or any other accounting system that a firm may be using.
That's great. It's great to be able to have everything all in one place, avoiding dual entry and have imports and exports and all of that. So we've also got a question. Somebody has asked whether they're able to send out one-time invoices without setting up an entire matter?
A matter is going to be a requirement for sending out an invoice. So that's going to be required. A matter needs to be created. I'm not sure about the specific scenario here. If you can, just thinking at the moment, create a matter dedicated for one-offs, but that a matter will be needed for purposes of creating or sending out an invoice.
Okay, I like that idea of creating a matter for that purpose. If somebody is using a different practice management application, you mentioned that you can move the data over to Zola Suite. How complicated a process is that, and how long does that take?
We make that process as simple as possible for our clients and that we are onboarding. We have a full in-house data operations team that the process begins with an assessment of the data. We've done migrations from multiple vendors for a single firm. So we've seen situations where there was dual entry and it's not lining up. So we work very closely with the firm just to make sure that we don't have a situation where there's garbage out and garbage coming in. We offer cleansing services to just make sure we can do a little bit of spring cleaning if we see an opportunity to do so. And the timelines are going to vary based off the speed at which the firm would like to get started within Zola Suite. And we do work very closely on that go live date to just make sure that the financial component and that export and cleansing and migration all fits within that timeline. So we've done conversions within as little as 1 to 2 weeks. For larger projects, that can take a little bit longer, but once again, it's a full in-house data operations team that you do have access to throughout the whole transition.
Well, that sounds great. And I know that changing to a new product is, I mean, your part of it, you guys probably know how to do that part in your sleep at this point, transferring people over. But this is still going to be a brand new thing for a firm that's switching to this. Do you include training in all of this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
We
So,
do.
Liz, I'll let you take that one.
Sure. So I actually do a lot of the trainings here at Zola. So we offer a few different options, and that's all going to be included with your Zola subscription. So we'll walk you through the process of kind of getting things set up in Zola. We'll do a general onboarding, which is the practice management half of the program. And then, of course, we have our own dedicated accounting training as well, because that is another entire half of the program. And if it's a firm that needs refreshers, Q&A sessions, we are very flexible to organize things like that as well.
Yeah, and then I think on our side, in terms of the transition, we understand the leap of faith that it is switching applications, especially moving over to Zola Suite. You'll be using us for your practice management, your accounting, your documents, whether it be with the integration. So we make sure that the transition, we get firms acclimated as smooth as possible. And then there are, of course, touch points after the firm has gone live. We see opportunities for them maybe to change some workflows internally. We can make some accommodations, and naturally, with all the configurations and all the features available, we have dedicated training. So I do want to add that support is unlimited. It comes at no extra cost. We have a US, New York-based support team from the hours of 9 to 7 p.m. Eastern, and we do have representatives monitoring an emergency line after that. So we are always available. We stress through the transition that we are here to lean on us as we take your firm, from your prior system into Zola Suite.
Cool. We've actually got quite a few questions coming in, and one person has asked whether this product, when you subscribe to Zola, is it based on different modules, or is it just you subscribe and you get the whole piece?
So we do have, I'm going to just load up our pricing page. We do offer several packages to Zola Suite. We've broken it down into Core, Enterprise, and Enterprise Plus. For our larger package, and we see most firms gravitating towards just because of the robust feature sets that are offered, Enterprise Plus is going to include all of that. so that you have access to all of the features, all of the integrations, anything that has been implemented with Enterprise Plus, you do have access to, and anything new that we implement. With our Enterprise option, some of the more robust reporting is not accessible. And with Core, there's very limited features that's available there. We see that mostly appealing to maybe some of the smaller firms who do not need more of the granular accounting features, for example, a P&L by location, for example. So those all available there. Once again, at this stage, we're finding most firms naturally going over to Enterprise Plus for the price that you're paying. The value is, of course, there. And once again, you'll have access to all of the current feature sets and anything else that we develop in the future.
So I guess if it's a firm that, you know, with Worldox, will Worldox integrate with all three of these levels
Yes.
of? Okay, that's
the integration
great.
is available for any Zola Suite client.
And we're getting some pretty specific questions coming in here. Somebody has asked whether you have migrated many from Amicus Attorney, and if so, what versions?
We've done several versions of Amicus. I myself have been involved in some of the small attorney. I know that we've worked with Amicus Online as well. Pretty much any version that you can come across, ranging from those way in the past to the more recent ones, we've converted them all. So, and just to kind of go into some other vendors, which I can assure that we can always migrate from the Pro Laws, PC Law, any cloud-based provider. We've have tremendous experience on the migrating front, even some proprietary applications. So we make sure on the migration front, for many, that is the scariest part of the transition. We make it an effort to bring over absolutely as much information as we can. I know Liz had touched on custom fields as additional data points to bring over. That is included as part of the migration. So to see how much data we can possibly bring over and find a great home for it in Zola Suite so that there's minimal loss of information.
So how big are most of your clients?
At this stage, we have clients ranging from on the smaller scale, 3 to 5 users, 100 plus. So Zola Suite isn't implemented for just one firm size. We can support, as I mentioned, a larger scale client to the small ones, and the plan that they go on may very well depend on their internal size. Right now, I'd like to say our sweet spot at the moment, where we're seeing a lot of traction, would be anywhere from the 50 to 75. So as of right now, we're seeing a lot of firms coming in at around that size. But without having to go into detail, we are of course equipped for anyone larger than that.
And a couple people have asked whether it's possible to migrate from an on-prem system to this, or whether you just do migrations from one cloud to another.
On-prem, absolutely. For those, we as part of the data assessment, will request some sort of database backup. And just to give a little detail on how those assessments go, it's usually a video call where we can kind of take a look and assess of all of the potential migration points for us. So on-prem solutions, we actually do many of those. So we are equipped to do those once again, from the Amicus to the PC laws. That wouldn't be a problem at all. And absolutely the web-based migrations, we are also equipped to import from.
All right. I think we've got what amounts to a two-part question. Somebody has asked where the data resides in terms of, like, if you have clients that are in California versus New York, and is there going to be any latency, and how do you handle backups? And along those same lines, we've had a couple of Canadians ask whether you have Canadian data center options.
Excellent question. So to answer those questions, one, our platform is hosted entirely on AWS, currently within the bounds of the United States in terms of the data centers. So we have firms in California, we have firms in New York. So the redundancy piece there, there's not going to be any latency based off your geolocation. Now, while we do not have any data centers in Canada, one big initiative for 2021 for us is to fully support Canadian users. And what I mean by that, not only from the data perspective in having a dedicated Canadian data center, well, that would also entail in some changes to our accounting system, specifically for trust management, to make sure that those follow Canadian ethics and practices. So as of right now, we're planning that as a Q2 initiative. We've gained a lot of interest in the Canadian market, and this year we're very excited to start to explore that market.
So let's see. Somebody has also asked, if you have a client where there are multiple matters, can you send them one invoice for all of the matters?
That's correct. Yes, you can do so. We have a consolidated billing option. I'll jump into that on the contact level. Here you have some preferences you can set up for this individual contact. You can designate how they would like to receive their email. If you'd like to use the blast component that Liz had mentioned earlier, we do also support leads billing and various different leads formats. We have time metrics, 98B, litigation advisor even, should you have to have different styles of invoices. And here we have the consolidated invoice option. So as long as this is enabled, when you generate your bills, and if you do those in batch, it's going to pick up this client, take all of the billables, create one individual invoice for them, and that's going to be broken down with a small ledger for each individual invoice. Along the same lines, we do also offer split billing. So if you have a matter where you need to generate an invoice for maybe multiple parties within that single matter, we do also support that feature set.
You've thought of a lot. So we've got another question that's come in about LawPay. And if LawPay is connected directly to the client invoice and they pay it, let's see, is it after the payment hits the bank account?
I think the question is when that's going to be recorded in Zola Suite. One thing I do want to start off by saying is for any Zola Suite client, we pick up the cost for LawPay. So if there's anyone that's on the call here that is interested in LawPay and interested in Zola Suite, you save some there by just being a Zola Suite client. Very close partners with the LawPay team over there. Now, jumping back into the payment link that Liz had mentioned, when the link is sent out and the client has their personalized link and enters in their credit card information, upon save, that is going to be charged. It may not be processed immediately in Zola Suite, but it will be recorded on that date back to your books within Zola Suite. So it's going to happen after the client and we get that successful response from LawPay that it has been authorized.
Cool. I think that I saw you cover this, but we still have another question about it, about how the Office 365 suite, specifically Outlook, is integrated with this.
Sure. There's two integration points with the Office with respect to Office 365. One, our email client that Liz had demonstrated earlier, that can be integrated with Office 365. That can be integrated as well with Exchange if you have a hosted or on-prem Exchange server. We do also support G Suite, Gmail, and any other IMAP provider, although we don't recommend connecting with an IMAP technology. For the overwhelming number of our users, they are on 365, the cloud version, or maybe even an on-prem Exchange. The preferred technology would be 365 there on the email side. Now, also we do offer a two-way calendar sync in our calendar system. That's going to integrate exclusively with Office 365, the cloud version, or G Suite. So that's going to be a two-way sync of calendar events, whether it's calendared in Outlook or within Zola Suite. It's going to be a bi-directional sync.
Cool. So in terms of the time entry piece of this, do you support task-based billing and time entries?
That's correct, we do. So during the matter configuration, I'm going to jump into the matter option screen here. Now this could be edited once the matter has been created, or as you're creating the matter, there's going to be an option to enable leads billing options. So here you can choose the specific code set you would like to support. We also have a very nice task code budgeting feature that allows you to kind of budget by activity how much you think you're going to need to invest into this matter, showing you what you had forecasted versus the actuals. And in terms of our leads invoices, we offer a robust flexibility in terms of the client ID, the client matter ID, and the law firm matter ID. We try very hard to limit the need to open those text files and do any sort of manual edits there. I know that that's a pretty big pain point for firms that do a large number of, they have a large number of leads-based clients. So that'll all be taken care of. If the matter is leads enabled, we force the user to supply the activity and task code at that point, so there is no issue once the invoice is generated.
Great. So I see somebody has asked whether the calendar in Zola syncs between Outlook, which actually reminds me when you were showing the different tiers of the product, that I noticed an integration with, yes, Law Toolbox, which brings me to docketing questions. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer the first question, the calendar sync will integrate with Outlook if you have Outlook installed on your local computer. The only requirement there is the email account that you are using must be an Office 365 account. So as long as you have that set up, which most firms do, the calendar is going to sync both ways. Now with our Law Toolbox integration, which is a separate subscription entirely with Zola Suite, firms can create docketing events within Zola Suite. So I can actually, I'm actually gonna pull that up for a moment so that we can kind of walk through that. The nice thing about this is as you're creating the event, you simply just need to select the state, the jurisdiction, and the trigger event, and we will supply you with the list of deadlines and actions that are going to be needed. Now,
Raphael, I think we've actually lost the screen share. So.
Oh, let me jump back into that. 1 second, please. Let me go back. And can everyone see the screen share?
Yes.
Perfect. So I actually jumped back into a separate account where I can demonstrate the Law Toolbox integration. So when creating a calendar event, there's two options to create a regular kind of event, which of course will sync as long as you have the integration set up. And we have the new calendar rule option. So here you can select the matter this is related to. You may have noticed that the state was pre-filled because we already have this, we have already created a rule for this matter. So let's go to, we can select our trigger and select the date that this had happened. And we can then select the get deadlines options, and we're going to be presented with a list of deadlines and actions needed. And there's actually going to be a link that will take you right into the article that refers to that particular event. Now you can select all of the events. It'll create individual entries for each of these as an independent event, and that will sync back to Office 365 as long as you have the calendar sync integrated at that point. So you can leverage us for the docketing, and your events will be available on both calendars.
Wow. I don't know. The more I look at this, the more I want to use it. So I think, so we've got somebody who's asking about the security of the product and also about backups.
Yes.
Of the data.
Yeah, so the backups are going to be done by our team and our infrastructure every hour on the hour. We do keep weekly backups, and we keep those stored for, I believe it's up to the year. So we have a vast collection of backups securely hosted and isolated in an encrypted AWS area. The firms have the opportunity on their end to export their own data in the firm settings option, which is located on the top right. I will jump into that for just a second. This is kind of the home base to configure anything Zola Suite related. You do need to be an administrator to have access to this. Under our export option, there is a download option, which is going to take all of your matters, time entries, financials, calendar events, email communications, and it's going to create one zipped file with all of that. I find that firms, maybe as a good practice, they like to export this so they have their own backup. On a parallel track, on our end, we are backing up all of the information on our side. And we do have a security document for those that are interested that goes pretty in depth on the extra steps that we are taking on our side to ensure that your data is safe and secure. So anyone who's interested in that and anyone who's interested in learning more about Zola Suite, feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to discuss that with you all.
All right. We've got somebody has asked about workflow options, specifically in relation to check requests.
Yeah, so check request is actually a current item that we are working on. The way that we are looking to design that is a staff user would be able to essentially put in a request for the check with the details of that, and someone on the financial end who has access and it's required that they approve it, they'll be able to essentially approve that, and then it will post to your GL. So not something that's currently available, but I can suggest that what we see firms do in this case right now is they take advantage of our task feature, which you can assign to one or more users, and you can create custom tags. It makes it very easy to, as the recipient of a task, to filter. So I see many firms, they'll create a check request tag. An individual user will send this type of task to the financial team. They can generate it and approve it and let them know that the check had been created. So a bit of a workaround. It does work very nicely for firms at the moment, but we are looking to formalize this workflow with a more formal check request approach. Once again, that's a Q2 initiative for us for 2021.
Okay, it looks like this new task component actually can do a lot of different workflow sorts of things.
Yes, and the beauty in this is that you may notice that we have the matter designation over here. It's not required that a task be matter related. We see a lot of firms using this just internally, just kind of for practice management or anything that they need to do during the day. If you need to have a task to pick up your dry cleaning, you're more than welcome to do so.
And the section in the middle that's got like phone call in it, is that to designate that this task started with a phone call or that it involves making a phone call?
I see firms using this for returning phone calls. So if you select this option on your task list, you have the ability to filter by this type. And there's a nice little icon that'll just display to you that a phone call request is needed for this task. We also do have the priority option. So this floats at the top of your task list, and a private option if you do not want anyone else who is not involved on the task to see the details. I do want to add with the task component and actually anything else that we have discussed today outside of accounting, this is all available on our native mobile applications. So we do have dedicated applications for iOS, for iPhone, and actually a dedicated iPad one, as well as Android. So this is available for you on the go. If you have a task that's created here, or maybe someone at the office creates one for you, you'll get a notification. You'll see that's available on your mobile app.
Great. I'm looking through to see if I've missed anything.
Looks like we kind of covered.
Yep, I think I can pass this back to Hella, and if there is a question that we've missed, we will do our best to get back to people after the fact, once we have a chance to comb through all of them.
Yeah. So Liz or Raphael, do you have anything else you would like to mention or add to all the questions that have already been asked? Or
Yeah, there's one thing I do want to add. For those that are interested in maybe just learning more about Zola Suite, we do offer a free trial. So if you want to just simply get an account set up and take it for a spin, you're free to do so. We make it very easy for you to do so on our site. So feel free to visit zolasuite.com to see all the details about our platform, our team, and if you would like to get connected with someone to learn more about that, feel free to schedule a call, demonstration. We're here to assist in any way possible.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. So we'll send out the recording after, and then everybody will have all the information. They will hear all the questions and answers, and they can follow up with you after that. We thank you very much for participating today. Liz, Raphael, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who attended, and we hope to see everybody again at a future event, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Hella. Thank you, Rebecca.
Have a great day and great weekend, everybody.
You're welcome.
Bye.